Hi, I'm Alan R. This is Motor Matters, of course, your favorite channel for everything motoring, the newest, the latest, the greatest, and the best in motoring in South Africa. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, do it now, and you'll be informed every time we post a new video on the channel. Today, we have, look here, the Chery Tiggo8 Pro. Of course, the big brother in the current new Chery range that they've been launching in South Africa since late last year. They brought the Tiggo4 end of last year, and early this year the Tiggo8. And I can tell you their sales success has been absolutely amazing so far. They're moving lots and lots of these cars, and you'll see why in a few moments. It's the spec, it's the space, and of course it's the price. You take those three in combination and there is no surprise why they're taking the South African market by storm. You've got this big bold Chery grille over here, quite plain to see, and it stands out, and believe me, I'm starting to get used to the sight of the Chery logo and the Chery grille behind me on the road. There are two models in the 8 range. You get the Distinction and the Executive. This is the lower spec version, the Distinction. They're both powered by the same engine. It's a 1.6 litre turbo 4-cylinder petrol engine. Gives you 145 kilowatts and 290 newton meters of torque. That's pretty good. And that's all put through the front wheels through a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. So you've got very, very nice engine power, gearbox combination, etc. Of course, you've got LED lighting, as you would expect over here, but you've got to realize that obviously being the lower model in the range, and you're talking about approximately a 50,000 Rand price difference, there are going to be a few items you don't get on this one that you would get on the executive version. But it's all about the bank balance at the end of the day, isn't it? Of course, being a typical SUV, you've got the cladding over the wheel arches and down the bottom of the doors. You've got all things like that. You've got really nice mag wheels over here, nice 18 inches that you can see that really look the part as well. We have been on some dirt roads during this test, so please excuse a little bit of mud on the car in a few spots. But what I can tell you is it can handle a little bit of dirt, sand, mud, or whatever you want pretty comfortably, pretty decently as well. And that's important. You want to know that when you're buying a car and if you want to use it for family use. Now, what I haven't told you is the Tiggo8 is the 7-seater model in the Tiggo range. Please keep that in mind. And it does have, of course, door locking that works just with a touch of the front driver's door handle, but it's a little bit sensitive, and as you move around the car, even though I've got the key in my hand right now or in my pocket, it does seem to relock pretty quickly, and maybe a little bit quicker than I would like. But let's just jump into the back seat right now. What is important to note is that if you're in whatever mode, you do have adjustment for the middle row of seats where you can slide it forward and back. Driver's seat is set for myself right now, and look at all this legroom I've got. I'm pretty happy with that. But if you are using the 7 seats and you want legroom for the people in the back, you can pull it right forward like that. Okay, that's not as comfortable, but then you will create room for people behind. We'll look at access to those seats a bit later. What is important to note while I'm sitting here is, just come in a little bit, aircon vents and a USB for rear seat passengers. That's important, or for the middle row, shall I call it. Note that you do have that for family use, and a nice big pocket in the back of the front seats for kiddies storing their things they want to store in the car while you're on holiday trips, etc. The other thing to just take note of is lots and lots of headroom in this middle row. So I'm pretty happy with that factor as well. And that's very, very important. Let's go have a look at the boot space now, of course, and the rear of the car. And you come round over here, as has become the norm nowadays, you have a nice big spoiler over the top of the tailgate. Press button, and there you go with the rear tailgate. As you can see right now, I'm in 5-seat mode. but it's pretty simple to do that for the extra seats. I'm doing this deliberately for you right now to show you that obviously in 7-seat mode, as is the norm again with a vehicle of this type, you're not going to have much boot space, are you? But in 5-seat mode, you've got a massive boot. Those are the kind of trade-offs you're always going to make with most vehicles you buy, and there's always somewhere you've got to think about and possibly compromise. Push button, tailgate closes, massive exhaust outlets at the back over there, as you can see, and of course you've got the skid plate effect over there, even if it is, can we call it somewhat fake, but as I said just now, it does handle a bit of rough road slowly and easily, but it does handle it fairly well. I was quite impressed when I had to take it over some pretty bad little section of road during typical high-felt storms over the weekend. Let's see what it's like on the road, and let's have a look inside. Of course, it's the access to the rearmost seats that's always important to me. So let's just take a look. There's a lever on the side that I flip, and then I suggest you move the seat as far forward as you can. And here we go, and the climb will now happen. Well, that's not too bad. Let's have a look. And here I go. Now, remembering that you can move that seat forward, if you leave it in its rearmost position, you're going to be a bit cramped. But if you leave it forward, I suppose it's okay. Headroom is, headroom is somewhat compromised for me in the back over here. So I'd say this is kiddie seating. Not really suited to adults in the back over here, but then, okay, fine, you know it, so live with it. What is nice is you do have cup holders on both sides at the back and a little storage place, although you don't have USBs back here. But still, not bad if you want to put kiddies in the back for shorter trips anyway. Definitely can do the job for that. On the road, the Tiggo8 is smooth, it's comfortable, it's relaxed, and I'm going to use the word relaxed a lot with this one because really there are so many SUVs that think and want to believe they're sports cars and want to believe they're performance cars. I just don't get the fact that an SUV, unless it's one of the super SUVs, and those are a different category entirely, 2 million rand kind of category, this is a family car. It's for family driving, for family touring, and for family use. So what do you want? Do you want enough power to overtake? It's got it with ease and plenty more. That 145 kilowatts, 290 Newton meters is plenty as far as I am concerned. So it does that very, very, in fact, more than adequately. It's got safety spec, it's got all of that, and you've seen the room it's got. Well, maybe the rearmost seats are a touch cramped, but what do you want? I mean, it is a medium 7-seater, shall I call it that? Medium, just slightly bigger than medium 7-seater. But the point is that obviously the torque gives you the ability to pull up the hill in our neighborhood, as I always go nowadays, and you'll see it certainly moves really. Oh, that's a nice place to park, isn't it? It really moves nicely and comfortably and accelerates well. That 7-speed dual clutch auto is smooth and comfortable and does the job. I'm still in eco mode. I just haven't worried to change it in any way whatsoever because I'm just not seeing the need. This is not the kind of car I want to race around in. Simple as that. And I'm having a look over here, and my 3-point turn spot is going to give me a bit of a problem because after recent storms, have a look here, I'm not going to be able to do my usual maneuvers over here, but you can still get an idea, I think, of what it's like when I do the turning and when I move and maneuver around. And there you go. And of course, you've seen the camera and you know what the camera system on this car is about, so I'm not going to worry too much with that either. But it's light, it's easy, it's comfortable. That wasn't a bad maneuver. Could have done it better if there wasn't so much muck around at the moment. But the point of this car, as far as I'm concerned, is obviously the exceptional value for money. We know that at just about 500,000 rand for this version, and it just really does seem to deliver in every respect as far as I'm concerned. So if you're looking for a vehicle that is a big 5-seater, can take 7 occasionally, this one has to be on your shortlists, quite honestly. Let's start off behind the wheel as we always do. And I want to show you very first. Now the car is fairly new, it's only done just on 2,000 kilometers, and I have a lot of good authority that Chery's fuel consumption improves drastically after the first 5,000 kilometer service. Keep that in mind. So don't panic too much about your consumption in the initial phase when you buy your new Chery. We've averaged 9.5 litres per 100 on this test. We've done 455 kilometers. So a good test, little bit of cruising, mainly urban driving. But it has given us that reading, and I think that's important just to take note of. Keep in mind. Obviously, you can set the digital instrumentation. I'm not going to go through it because you know exactly how that works. But there's one button down here, I hope I can pick it up quickly, that I really do like on this car. That one over there that I'm pointing to, you can see it's lit up at the moment. That is your stop-start. Now, I've said many times I hate stop-start functions. Well, on the Tiggo8, you can switch it out, and it stays switched out when you restart the car. Not like many that you've got to press that button every time if you want to switch it out. I like that. And over here is a button you can open and close the rear tailgate using that button. Again, nice feature. You'll descend control if you ever need it over there as well. Note the stitching across the doors, and you'll see the leatherette feel to a lot of the dash and the soft touch even on the center of the dash. And remembering that this is the lower spec version. And that's important to take note of. You've of course got cruise control, not active cruise control. These are the differences between, of course, the distinction and the executive, and I just want to point those out to you because it is important to know the differences so you don't get active cruise control, and in fact you lose the safety suite, as Chery call it, by going with the distinction model. But it's about budget. Got a nice big stop start button over there, and of course you've got your screen over here which covers absolutely everything for you, but there isn't standard navigation. So what do? You of course use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Simple as that, easy, works nicely. Not going to say too much. But what is really nice on this car, let's just have a look at the gear lever first of all. Of course, the pistol type gear lever over here. But now back to the screen, please. You pop the car into reverse gear, and you've got this reverse camera as well as the overhead camera. And if you have a look, you've got a 2D view or a 3D view. Now this one's fascinating. You see this 3D view from above kind of thing, showing the car. Now that pops on automatically when you stop at a robot or something like that, or a stop street. It's quite fascinating because you see the cars next to you on either side, etc. Slightly distorted sometimes, but it definitely gives you everything going on around you, and it gives you a good view of what's going on around you. You can also just pick up front wide view, look at that, or rear wide view as well. They're all there, they're all available, and of course you've got your active lines, guidance lines, etc. for parking. So I do like that feature very much on this car. Let's just get out of there for the moment. Come down over here, you can see you've got a row of buttons, phone, that's your camera system, that's where you can go home on the screen if you want. So those are your shortcut buttons, and of course this one over here is for your modes on your transmission. I think I've actually been in eco mode most of this test. There's normal and there's sport. And I must tell you, I've just realized right now, I've left it in eco mode this entire test. But that 145 kilowatts and 290 Newton meters, let me tell you, I have had no issue with whatsoever. And even when we were cruising, overtaking, etc., was an absolute cinch. So you know what? I think I did myself a bit of a favor there. But anyway, not important. Very nice, I think, is this screen over here for, of course, your air conditioning ventilation system. Is copying another brand, I won't name who they are. And very interesting, it is dual zone. So driver or passenger, temperature and fan speed, you just adjust with these little toggle switches over here. Pretty neat, pretty clever as far as I'm concerned. And then electronic parking brake over here as well, and hill hold over there. Now you're going to say the shiny black plastic or the shiny black surfaces are going to pick up fingerprints. Well, yes, they will. So just keep it clean. But another nice feature is this slot here, which holds a cell phone pretty neatly as well if you want. Although, can you get the camera down? This is actually a dual height center console. So you've got a place for your phone over there and a 12 volt over there as well. But a nice place to hide your phone once you linked, of course, with Android Auto or whatever you're using, where you don't need your phone to be in sight. Nice security measure. You can hide it away over there. Open up here, the armrest and the storage bin underneath, and you'll see you've got 2 USBs in there as well. So you are fairly well covered with USBs. Leather trim is standard, it doesn't matter which model, and you get a nice Sony sound system thrown into the bargain. So as you can see, you are losing out a tiny bit on, as I said, the full suite of driver aids, and you don't get a panoramic sunroof on the Distinction model, which you do get on the Executive. The Executive also gives you the brown, orangey brown Napa leather as standard, as opposed to this grey color we've got here at the moment. That's something, well, I don't think that makes any difference to me, quite honestly. But the thing is, what Chery have done is they've certainly made their cars price competitive. And when I tell you that this one, as we're in now, is just under 500,000 Rand, 495, and you go up to 550 or 560, I lie, for the Executive, you'll understand how price competitive they are. And then when you remember that you get the standard 5-year, 150,000 kilometer warranty, which extends to 10 years and 1 million kilometers if you're still the first owner, you'll know Chery have got confidence in their products. That is for sure. They're selling like hotcakes, aren't they? The South African public have taken to them, which I think is interesting. On the road, I've got to tell you, it's got more power than I actually expected. It goes nicely. It handles more than well enough for a medium, biggish 7-seater SUV. So no complaints about that at all. It certainly does the job you'd expect of it from a car in this category. And it's certainly price, price, price. That's what you've got to decide for yourself. And the only way you're going to make a decision is by test driving one, quite honestly, and seeing if this is the market you're looking at, whether it suits you, whether you like it, and whether you do or not. There are competitors in this category as well, of course. You've got the Hyundai Grand Creta. You've now just got the new Mahindra XUV 700. And of course, then you go up to cars like the VW Tiggo8 All-Space, which costs quite a bit more money. You've got to drive them and make your decision. But this one will not stand back for anybody. And my last little picky point on the car is the rear view mirror, and I've said this in my previous drives on this vehicle, gives you the impression, if I can just get it to show you as I want to, it looks like a tunnel back there. I'm not sure if you can see exactly, but it certainly looks like you're looking down a tunnel. But you know what? I've adapted to that after a day or two as well. So it's a bit strange for the first day, and then it just feels normal, like most cars that I drive. You just adapt to it very, very quickly. Go and test drive one. See for yourself. For Motor Matters, I'm Eleanor. I'll see you next time.